Hello and welcome to Doctor Dialogues. This is a podcast by HeathOK Global, and this is where we have conversations with prominent doctors in India and have essentially a candid conversation about their stories. Health OK is a human centered healthcare ecosystem designed to bring trusted medical care closer to people everywhere. Through our integrated platform, we connect patients, families, and doctors using telehealth, EMR, and care management tools. Whether in bustling cities or remote rural areas, it is through Health OK that we are able to bring quality healthcare accessible and seamless for everybody. Today, I am delighted to be joined by Dr. Anushil, a physician whose journey spans some of the busiest hospitals in Delhi, international neurology centers, and even the villages of Himachal Pradesh. Dr. Anushil, welcome to Dr. Dialogues.
Thank you. Thank you, Gustav, for that very decorated introduction. But yeah, and thank you for this opportunity to be able to speak here is an honor.
Thank you. Thank you so much. The honor is all ours. If you could share a little about your educational journey and how it shaped your path as a doctor.
Yeah, so I think the seeds of becoming a doctor were laid down during my childhood, and which led me to become a doctor. But as you know, becoming a doctor, like just being an MBBS, was never the goal. It always kept moving forward. So I started the whole medical career basically shaped up in Delhi, where I did my junior residency in Ram Manohar Lohia Hospital, Delhi, and I think I owe most of my skills, most of my early training, and whatever I have learned mainly to that particular hospital. And then eventually, after completing my junior residency, I moved to several hospitals all across Delhi, starting from IBHAS, that is the Behavioral Sciences Institute, along with neurology. Then I moved to private centers in Ghaziabad and even in Delhi, which is BL Kapoor and Max Saket. I have also worked with some NGOs. While we were working with them, we would go to outskirts of Delhi and manage chronic diseases through a mobile clinic. So, yeah, so all that led to, kind of experience building in. And I kept taking in 2 cents from every place that what actually lacks in healthcare and what we can do about it. Later, I got an opportunity. So, if I tell you, medicine is something that has always fascinated me. But apart from medicine, that fascinated me was neurology. So, eventually, I went into neurology. I wrote papers on it, and I got an opportunity of doing a short fellowship at the Cleveland Medical Center. And that was great. That was just awesome. Yeah.
Wow. So, Dr. Nushil, you've worked across leading hospitals in Delhi, trained under world renowned mentors. And I know from your introduction, you even presented research at international conferences. Looking back, what would you say have been the key milestones that shaped your career?
So I think mainly I would owe it to, when COVID hit, when there was in 2020, when COVID hit, the first wave, everybody was clueless. Trust me, even the doctors were, because nobody knew what to
Yes.
do. Even in our microbiology books, which we used to read, this particular
Hmm.
virus was this much, just a small paragraph, you know, because there was
Hmm.
nothing about it. And it was written something like, if I remember correctly, that, it is not known to be pathogenic to humans. So we didn't need to study too much about it. But that is what happened. But the second wave actually shook up things, all across the
Hmm.
world. And that's when it hit me that there is a major gap in which
Hmm.
needs to be filled. The major gap is counseling. The patient counseling matters a lot, which we really lack
Hmm.
while being busy or for whichever reason. Sometimes the patient doesn't come directly to us. Sometimes we don't have time for that. But counseling makes a lot of changes. So I think I started that teleconsultations during COVID because I saw that
Hmm.
the hospital that I was working in was getting overloaded. Even the patients who were not very serious were coming back to
Hmm.
to the hospital and wanted an admission because they were panicking. So I
Hmm.
started this Google form, and
Hmm.
that germinated ideas inside me that how counseling and how patient education is so important. That is something that I learned from the COVID episode. Then I think there were episodes in my life where I presented a paper in the conference, and it kind of created some kind of a inquisitiveness, if you would call that, or maybe kind of an exposure that led me to, read more, know more, you know, for the benefit of the patient. And I hadn't been exposed to international conferences. For me, my paper being accepted at such a big conference in Chicago was a surprise. And, being sponsored all the way from India to the US just for that paper was again a very big thing for me. It also created, I met a lot of people and I just saw that people are doing amazing things out of the whole academic career. They are still doing amazing things. And again, so taking 2 cents from here that, you should keep doing, keep learning, keep going forward. Yeah, that's how the experiences matter. And I think one more thing that again made me feel that, how healthcare has been very important and you would be needed anywhere. When I was on a flight from India to Chicago, and there was a patient who had a transient ischemic attack, and there was no doctor on that Boeing apart from me. And we were midair, somewhere 7 hours from Chicago. And I handled that patient talking on the satellite phone from the airplane, from the ground medical staff that they had. And it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. Amazing experience. Yeah.
I can only imagine that must have been a profound experience. Dr. Anushil, your expertise is in internal medicine, but your interests extend to neurology and global health. What drew you to epilepsy, to dementia, and to global health? And why are these areas so meaningful to you?
So let's talk about dementia first. So, with respect to dementia, I encountered it firsthand. My father was suffering from Alzheimer's, and we lost him to Alzheimer's. Now, I see that dementia is a growing disease, and we are not prepared for it. Our population, at least, is on the younger side. But if you talk about the Western world, their population is on the aging side. They have majority of the population on the aging side. But dementia is going to hit our population as well as in India as well in some years to come. We need to be prepared. We need to be prepared with respect to how we handle dementia patients, how early we screen them, how early the interventions are started. And one thing that is clearly lacking is caregiver support. So, this is how I educated myself, because I found myself also being it was draining. It was draining emotionally as a caregiver, although I'm a healthcare worker, I'm a doctor, but still, we see cases every day. But I think looking at a closed one going through that disease is draining. And I think caregiver support is something that I started focusing my mind on, and I started talking to people about it. So dementia started like that, how my interest into dementia developed. Epilepsy, basically, it emerged only when I saw some patients of epilepsy and I realized that there is a taboo associated with it in our country, especially in some rural countries, especially if it is associated with girls that, how would they get married or something like that. So we need counseling. We need counseling at all levels. We need counseling of parents. We need counseling of the patient, that they don't need to be, underconfident if they are dealing with such diseases. So it got me interested into doing this course with the Cleveland Medical Center. It was under Dr. Hans Luders. He's the stalwart of epilepsy. He's like taught half of the world what is epilepsy all about. And learning it firsthand from him was amazing. Was amazing. I think I chased them a lot. I chased them like for 1.5 years that they have to like, okay, take it. So yeah, that is what it was. Yes.
It's very interesting. You speak about caregiver support. I think it's an area that is not focused upon and is very important. It's very common that sometimes caregivers go through tough times, but there is support out there and there are ways and scientific methods of handling these diseases. And I'm very happy you touched upon that. Dr. Anushil, every doctor carries stories that leave a lasting impression. Could you share a few patient experiences that have deeply influenced your perspectives on medicine?
So I think there was one patient that I clearly remember from my recent times. There was this patient from, right now I'm working in a rural sector in Himachal Pradesh. So there was this patient who was, she's a kid of around 11 years. She's 11 years old, and she has been suffering with epilepsy. Now, the type of epilepsy that she has been suffering with is temporal lobe epilepsy. So it doesn't have those usual jitters or the usual movements that the normal epilepsy patients have. but she just has a sense of smell and weird smell. And she would never even understand that this is epilepsy. Now, she, coming from a very humble background, she would just have that smell and she would daze off for like 15 minutes. And people kept prolonging her treatment for almost 3 years now when she came to me. And when I saw her, I was like, this is epilepsy. And when the moment I started her on medications, the response that she had was amazing. The response that her parents had was amazing. And for me as a doctor, it was so, satisfied. It was full of satisfaction that, I could just help somebody from a very humble background and they were struggling for so long in their lives that what is going on with the patient. So I think such experiences really make you read more, do more, and whatever it takes from you, because that's my.
So I know you are in Himachal Pradesh in a rural area. Just want to touch upon that patient. Why did it take 3 years for them to reach out to a doctor?
So basically what happens at such places is that sometimes you don't get the actual diagnostics, one. Second, expertise. Three, outreach. So diagnosis can only happen when there is expertise. These patients usually don't go to higher specialty doctors or maybe modern medicine doctors. They believe a lot more in traditional medicine sometimes, and they also believe a lot more in their local community doctor who is not even qualified to be treating such complex cases. So they run their clinics, they keep giving them some medicines. So seizures might just subside, but they would tell them that, this is the effect of medicine, that's why they subsided. Or maybe she has done something later, or maybe she has consumed something, that's why it's coming back. So they have been misinformed about a particular disease, which has been troubling the patient, right? So that is something that is only it can be filled when there is a specialist sitting in the vicinity trying to counsel the patients every now and then, or making a outreach program, or making frequent visits to these areas to kind of educate. So all that is possible only through that. Yeah.
Wow, there's so much to learn from the experience you just shared. Dr. Nushil, you've dedicated yourself to guiding patients in rural Himachal away from unsafe practices and towards evidence based care. Why is this mission so important to you? And how are you building trust in these communities?
So I was working in a hospital in one of the cities nearby, and I noticed that these patients are coming from places as far as 80 kilometers to this place where I was working just to get treated. But before that, they were prolonging the whole illness for approximately 5-6 months. So the time they come to
Wow.
me, the disease or whatever pathology has been going inside them is very high from that baseline level where it was 6 months back. So that led me to build a setup where they can reach to me directly as a physician. I can help them. And even though I'm kind of remote in a setting, in a remote place, I don't have that facilities of a city life, but that clearly gives me the opportunity to serve these people. Right now, how I'm outreaching out to them is through camps. I've been conducting camps every month. We have opened our clinic approximately nearly 2 months back. We have conducted 2 camps with a good response. We are going to conduct another camp this month, maybe in some Barot Valley or somewhere high up in the mountains, so that these people can also know that you have this facility nearby and they can come to us and get treated.
Fantastic. In rural India, technology often becomes the bridge between patients and specialists. From your experience, how has teleconsultation, digital tools, or platforms like HeathOK transformed your ability to serve these patients?
So I think that is a very important question, and that is a very good question that you asked. So in my vision of this clinic, I have always kept a vision where I know that today I am a physician. But say, for example, I need a super specialist, maybe a cardiologist, maybe a neurologist, maybe a vascular surgeon, just to consult for the patient. How would I do it?
Mhm.
And that's where, platforms like HeathOK Global or any other for that matter comes in. So these platforms can connect us with a super specialist. How I see it is, I can act as a medium by taking the clinical history of the patient. I can make the patient sit, and I can, along with the patient, talk to the particular specialist so that we don't miss or misjudge a clinical finding. Now, there are other models also to this, which I know of, where a healthcare worker who is not a doctor, just a trained healthcare worker, is doing the needful. That is also
All right.
okay. But it is better if a doctor is examining and transferring it with another specialist. That kind of two doctors talking in their own jargon, making it simpler to understand. So that would be great. That would be great. And that's my vision for people in rural areas like Himachal, where I am. So I'm thinking that if I can connect with such specialist through a platform, that would be great.
Indeed, platforms like HeathOK aim to connect patients with genuine, qualified doctors and then guide them to the right specialists. How do you see this model strengthening healthcare delivery in rural India and even beyond?
I think if I tell you honestly, there will be a lot of challenges in kind of making them kind of being comfortable with that platform, and that a doctor is kind of checking you online through a digital TV, but it can be done if another doctor is present. It becomes way easier. So I think, again, since I have been talking a lot about counseling of patients, counseling here also is very important. And for me, whatever I know of medically, but I think counseling is one of my fortes. So I know when I would talk to the patient, I can talk them into getting another consultation with a tele consultation with a specialist. And that is how you kind of, gain confidence from the patient and make him or her kind of convinced that this is what you need, and it would be great. And in areas like rural areas, whatever you advertise or whatever you do, but the word of mouth spreads like wildfire. If
Interesting.
the patient is satisfied and the patient receives result, which he or she will, because we have specialists on your platform, you know, nothing like that, nothing like that. And it will be so much of help for practitioners like me and so much of help for the patients in rural India.
Anushit,
Because
your journey reflects compassion, innovation, and actually a deep commitment to ensuring that there is equity in healthcare. As we close, what message would you like to leave for patients in rural India who may still be unsure about seeking qualified care?
you have to kind of give it a chance. Until and unless you give us a chance, we'll not be able to show you or make you believe. Show you is not the right word, maybe make you believe or gain your trust, right? I think the thing is that, the goal remains the same, that every patient receives safe, qualified, and dignified care. That's our goal. And that's what I think the goal of HeathOK Global is as well. So everybody wants that. So if I, as a doctor, and you, as a platform, we both have a common goal, we can eventually see how we can work together or how we can build something for the benefit of patient care in rural India.
Indeed. And that is indeed the mission of HealthOK. Thank you, Dr. Anushil, for sharing your inspiring journey with us on Dr. Dialogues. It's been a
Thank you, Kaustubh.
privilege and an honor to have you with us.
Thank you, Kaustubh.
To
Thank
our
you so much.
listeners, yes, thank you. Thank you indeed. To our listeners, visit healthokglobal.com to connect with trusted doctors like Dr. Anushil and explore how technology and compassion are shaping the future of healthcare for all. That's it on today's episode of Dr. Dialogues. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.